Shut up and sit down.
Hi guys, Andy from Bigmeks Workshop Painting Studio, and I'm painting some Lord of the Rings stuff. This is a Riders of Rohan figure from the Battle of Pelennor field set, and I'm going to be painting a group of 4, getting them all done at the same time, just to show you some really nice simple methods of how to get a good quality finish across a unit. Now I'm going to be using all pretty much Games Workshop paints here, because this is geared towards beginners, but the more experienced painters will be able to pick up some tricks as well. So never painted much in the way of horseflesh, so I had to do a little bit of research on how to get the best effect on there and make it more natural. And as you can see, we're starting off with RHINOX hide. Now this can be done different ways, but the technique will still stay the same throughout the different colours. As you notice, I'm not painting the mane or the tail. That's going to get done in a different colour just to break up the model a little bit and have it a nice looking horse all the way over. After a couple of layers, I've got a nice smooth coat there. And as you can see, I'm starting to feather some MORNFANG brown over the RHINOX hide. And what this is going to do is going to give you a natural highlight. So you want it a reasonably thick consistency. Obviously you're going to thin it down a little bit, but you want to get a fairly solid colour. And we're going to build this up slowly, and what you're going to do is you're going to go back over it with the RHINOX hide, and this is going to give you a nice softened highlight where all the muscles would be. And once you've got your first layer down, it's just a case of building it up with progressively lighter shades. And what you're going to do is just to add some muscle definition to the model, without taking too much away from the base coat, so you will still get that nice rich brown colour on the model itself. So once we've got the first layer of the MORNFANG brown done, we're going back over it with RHINOX hide. Now as you can see, this is super thin. We're talking wash consistency. And what this is going to do is going to just darken the shades of the MORNFANG brown. It's going to make it look a lot more natural. It's going to take 2 or 3 layers to get the colour back to where you want it to be. And this is a good thing, because what you're going to do is a really nicely controlled colour coming under the fur, so the muscle structure really does offer definition to itself. And you can take it back and bring it back up again as often as you want, just to really add more definition to the highlights. So what I'm doing, pardon me. So what I'm doing here is adding some more highlights with really thin mix of MORNFANG and RHINOX, and these are going to just to add some actual highlights now from above the top coat. So it's going to just start to soften the muscle texture. You're going to start to see the muscle texture coming through, and it's really just going to allow that initial highlight for the undertone to just really do its job. And back to the MORNFANG brown. As you can see, we're using really thin layers again, and this is like almost wash consistency. We're just starting to line out a few highlights where the highlights actually need to be, and these will be indicated from where the lightest colours from underneath will be presented. And this is just going to give you a nice guideline of where you want the highlights, and it's just going to add a more natural type of highlight to the horse. Okay, so what we're going to do now is start to add some black paint to the mane, the tail, and around about the feet regions, around hooves. Going to break up that flat brown now. This is going to add just a little bit of detail to it to really mark out the horse. It's going to make it a lot more interesting to look at, and you'll get a really nice effect. So we're using really thin down black. This allows us to blend it in with the browns as well. So you're going to get a natural transition between the dark brown and the black colour towards the bottom of the feet. And what we're doing now is getting the RHINOX and MORNFANG mix, and we're just blending that in using really thin down paint. Again, around about where the feet are, just to tone out that transition, just to even it out a little bit, so it's a much more subtle transition rather than just a flat black line going across. So what I'm doing here is just adding a nice gentle highlight. This is DRYAD bark by Games Workshop, and just giving it quite a gentle dust over the sort of an almost dry brush across the mane, across the black sections, across the tail. And then we're just going to hit it with NULN oil just to tone it all back together, so it's a subtly highlighted black rather than just kind of a weird mix of brown and black. And all this is going to do is just going to tie it together with the rest of the horse, so it's going to look a little bit more natural to it. So once we've got that down, as I said, I'm going to hit it with a NULN oil, get all that detail back in, and make it back to black again, and you're going to the brown highlight will be altered slightly, so it becomes more of a lighter black. So now I'm going back onto the leather work. So the saddle area, I don't know what this is called, I'm not going to lie. This is just a quick layer of MORNFANG brown, just to give it a little bit of a leathery look. And I'm going around all the reins, all the leather work in the same colour, and this is going to just give you a nice coloured leather. It's going to be subtly different to the horse itself, but yet not over the top, so it's not going to clash with the horse's fur colour. And I'm now highlighting it up with a little bit of XV88 mixed in, just to give you a nice soft highlight on there, all over the leather work, just to break it up again, just to give it a nice gentle highlight, make it look a bit more authentic. And once that's down, I'm going to go over the entire of the leather with Agrex Earthshade, just to bring the colours back together and add a little bit of depth. So on the metals, I've gone for a kind of a classic Rohan look, and using Retributor armour by GW. It's a base layer, so you can get away with just going straight over the top of any colour what it was. And I'm just going around all the bits what will look like they're made out of metal, around about the bridle, around it, the top of the head on the armour, you know, the sort of things. And it just adds a little bit more definition to it. So the riders, based in CALIBAN green, and what this is going to do is going to give you a nice authentic Riders of Rohan sort of base colour to it. The robes are where I started, as you can see, and going around all the cloaks. So I wanted these to look something similar to the guys in the films, or the models from the artwork and the books, etc. So once we've got the base green down, I'm going to paint up the armour plating, the scales on the rider, and this is using LEADBELCHER by GW. And as you can see, it's just a really nice smooth coat all over the models. The detail on these is actually really nice considering a single part kits. Also going to do the same for all the metal weapon heads, using the same techniques as we've used before. just getting a nice solid layer. Other sections, it's just going to brighten the model up a little bit. We're using corn red for this, and it's again another nice base colour, and it's just again to break up some of the colours what are already on there, and try and keep it something similar to where the Riders of Rohan look in the imagery. I've also gone over the helmets. I wanted the helmets to be the same leather. And once we've got that, I'm going to just go around and paint all the rest of the unarmoured section, so his clothes and such, in a nice black colour, just to get it all tidied up, and so you've got a nice solid base colour all over the rest of the inners of the model. The saddle and his leather strapping on the guy is painted in DRYAD bark. Again, a slightly different colour from the leather work on the rest of the model, just to break it up a little bit. It's also going to be the same on its quiver. So once we've finished with the DRYAD bark, we're going to go back around with the RETRIBUTOR armour and just pick out any non-silver metal areas. So I'm going around the helmet, around its visor, just to add a little bit more detail. Also any of the buckles and decorative parts on the scabbard, etc. Just to break up the fairly drab colours, just to brighten it up a little bit and just add a little bit of flair to the model. Onto the weapons. The wood of the weapons I've painted in XV88, so the bow, the spears, the hafts on the axes, any of that sort of thing. It's all in XV88, and this is just going to give you a nice wood effect, keeping it in the same sort of earth tones as the horse and the rest of the model, but again just adding in a little bit extra colour in there just to keep it more interesting. So the next part is the flesh, for which we're using CADIAN FLESHTONE. Just getting a nice smooth coat across all the face and neck areas. There's not a hell of a lot of work to do flesh-wise, but as a lot of them have beards and things, so you can pick out extra detail with the facial hair, but it's got to be done. So now is time to get some washes down. So all the metalwork and the dark and the brown areas are going to get hit with a NULN oil. The reason I'm using NULN oil over the browns as well is simply because it's just a bit darker, so it's going to get a nice even depth of finish to all the darker brown sections. So I'm going to start adding some highlights onto the cloak. This is a mix of CALIBAN green and WAAAGH flesh, and as you can see, I'm just following the ripples in the fabric. I'm going fairly easy. I'm not going to town on these, as it's a full squadron I'm painting rather than a single figure. And what that's so it's going to be a really simple highlight, you don't need to go over the top with, when you're painting in batches. But it's very easy to get so long as you're neat, it's very easy to get a good finish. And again, provided you're neat, you don't always come back to the models at a later date and add some more extra work onto it without actually causing yourself any problems. So again, we're adding a little bit more WAAAGH flesh just on the edges of the highlights. Just going to add that final touch of the highlight to the model, because with the having the mixture, it does give you a much more gentle gradient, so you can go a little bit brighter, and just keep, like I said, just keep the highlights neat. Follow the natural flow of the robes, and you'll get a good effect. Onto the woodwork, and this is a BALOR brown going all over the hafts of the weapons, across the bow as well. And it's quite a nice colour. It really does highlight XV88 really nicely. As you can see, I'm just adding a little bit of touch, little bit of a BALOR across the leading edges of the axe handle, sorry, and again on the bows, just following the same routine through all of the different areas. For the leather armour, it is MEPHISTON red, and that's just going across all the leading areas of the model. It's a lot easier to paint these, get the idea of where you want the highlights when it's actually still on the model, attached to the horse. So it's just something to bear in mind. Just be careful when you're doing such. As you can see, I'm just going across the tops of the areas on the arm guards, and also across the helmets. And we're going to tie that in again with washes in a few minutes. And a little bit of extra love with a bit of Evil Suns, just to add some extra bright highlights wherever they need to be, and just to brighten up any of the areas that are just a little bit dull. So once we've got all the highlights in place, for the reds, and we're going back over the DRYAD bark with GORTHOR brown. This is just going to add some nice subtle gentle highlights to the DRYAD bark, and it's going to take away some of the darkness across what was added from the NULN oil wash. So what I did fail to mention was that all the gold work was, as well as the reds, were washed down in Agrax Earthshade, and now we're going back up over the any of the golds. Now I've added the shields as well, so across the face plates, also on the horse with auric armour, and this is just going to brighten up those golds a bit, make them stand out. Give a really nice polished finish to the metalwork, just to really jazz them up a little bit, and give you a nice overall shine across the model. And so there you have it. I've thrown some bases together. I've not bothered with a pin wash. We could probably do it with a matte varnish to get away take some of the shine away. But that is 4 Riders of Rohan, all painted the same way. Dead simple, dead easy, all using GW paints as well. This is something I'm going to be doing throughout the entire box of Pelennor Fields. Going to be doing the units fairly simply, whereas the character types are going to be a bit more of an elaborate tutorial at the same time. So as always, we've got some thank yous to make. So as always, we've got some huge thank yous to make. So massive thank yous to the York Boys, Matt, Ludwig Hofbauer, DWAAGH, Mark, Dave and Spiky Dude. Also Tom as well. So thank you for your sponsorship. We couldn't do this without you. It really does make our life a lot easier keeping things rolling. Also massive thanks to the Outpost, their affiliate link. So huge thank yous to you guys. Without you guys, again, you make our life a hell of a lot easier. So please check them out. The link's in the description. We're a local gaming store based in Sheffield. You get your standard 15 to 20% off at no cost. You get your standard 15 to 20% off. And also, if you use our affiliate link, we get 5% store credit at no cost to you guys. So that really helps us get extra models, reduce costs, to keep these tutorials coming. Anyway, guys, I hope you like this video. Please hit like, hit subscribe, hit that bell icon because YouTube does its thing and it's generally a bit weird. And share with your friends. If you're interested in watching our videos early or getting involved in our competitions, check out our Patreon site. Links in the description. And that really does help us out, as even down just $1 a month will really go a long way to helping us keep the lights on. So as always, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.